Number 10, the year 2000 was a very strange year. Very strange year. And this is my only localized one. So if you're from the area, maybe you kind of understand and relate. But the year 2000 was just a very strange year for the city of Niagara Falls. I remember I was 8 or 9 years old, and it just, all of a sudden, the city of Niagara Falls just felt different. It was definitely a turn of the century kind of feeling, and not the worst, not in the best way. So a couple things happened. First, the Rainbow Mall closed September 30th of 2000. Well, I guess it's not first, but it's one of the things that happened. Rainbow Mall was a big time mall around here in Niagara Falls, especially in the touristy area. It opened up in 1982, and in the year 2000, it just fell apart. It fell into disarray. Stores moved out. It just wasn't profitable. The fashion outlet mall, well, it actually used to be called the Factory Outlet Mall, took away all the business. Everybody kind of went there, and it just it was so much bigger and better than the Rainbow Center Mall. So that happened. But also, there became one high school in our area. Before, years ago, there was 3. There was Trott, LaSalle, and Niagara Falls. And then in the year 2000, in fact, on September 6th, 2000, the new Niagara Falls High School opened up. But it's pretty wild to think that a city population that once had enough kids to have 3 high schools was now down to 1. Felt very grim. It felt very grim, and I'm sure a lot of people felt that way way back then. And even as a kid, it just felt weird. Like, you hear stuff. You hear about how great the city of Niagara Falls is. Growing up, you're told about it. And it was a beautiful city many, many years ago. And even I remember some high points in my early childhood, but it just felt weird when so many things are closing and condensing. And a lot has closed since then. But that was that was shocking to me. Because when you come into this world, all right, everything that is there is just kind of, that's the normal. That's the baseline for you. And when stuff starts getting taken away, like a wonderful place like the Rainbow Center Mall, which I have many fond memories of, I used to play football outside of LaSalle Senior High School, and I didn't deal too much with the old Niagara Falls High School. But when that stuff starts going away, it's weird, and it's different. But I just remember that, partially, too, because my dad was working on the new Niagara Falls High School. He's a part of one of the crews that built it up. He was in the paper for it, all that. But, yeah, that's my number 10. The year 2000 in the city of Niagara Falls was just weird, ominous, and was definitely a sign that the city had fallen off considerably over the last couple of decades. Number 9, this is the first celebrity death that I remember, and it was the death of Chris Farley, December 18th, 1997. Sure, over my first 6 years of life, because I was born in 1991, there was a lot of celebrity deaths in between there. A lot of famous people had passed away. But as far as like a celebrity, as in like a movie star, an actor, somebody that I knew very much of, Chris Farley's death in 97 was shocking, surprising. I grew up with Tommy Boy and, oh, God, what was the other one? He did another one with, this is going to bother me. I'm going to have to Google this right here live on the show. Oh, my God. Chris Farley, David Spade. David Spade. Movies. Oh, my God. I'm so embarrassed right now. Black Sheep. Black Sheep. Shame on me. I remember those. I grew up on those. And then, of course, there was Beverly Hills Ninja, and Farley had done a couple other things. But for him to pass away, and it was weird and heavy as a kid. and obviously you hear all sorts of stuff now, and his friends knew that he wasn't going down a good path. But it's still, as a kid, death, overwhelming, sad, and especially like a beloved celebrity at that, to me at that time, like a Chris Farley was. So that's my number 9. Number 8, the Phantom Menace craze. I was all about this. The Star Wars hype train was insane. I watched a lot. I mean, again, all the products, like the merchandise was really cool. But I remember getting ready for school in February and turning on the news, and I forget where in the world this was, but this is the middle of February. All right, snow, it's cold. And they did a news report on some guy who was waiting outside of his movie theater in February for, I think it was a May release for Phantom Menace. I'm pretty sure it was May. So that's usually when Star Wars would release back then. Yeah, I thought that was insane. It might have been a local person, I somewhere local in the Western New York area, but the idea that this dude was camping out for 3 months to see the new Star Wars film. What? Especially now, it's funny too, because knowing the general public's thoughts on the Phantom Menace, even though I loved it as a kid, it's just funny. It reminds me of that the one line from oh my God, I'm forgetting the name of that movie now. What the anyways, all right, we're moving on. But yes, I'm not even going to try to remember it. But yeah, like I never thought that was a thing. I did not think that was a thing. But people used to do this all the time, allegedly. The idea of camping out to see a movie is just, even as an 8-year-old, seemed insane. But to each their own. But that's my number 8, the Phantom Menace craze. From basically February to May of 99, and even probably a little bit before that and beyond it. So, number 7, this one hit me hard as a kid. Damn, I got a lot from this year, actually. Owen Hart's death in 1999, May 23rd, 1999, to be specific. As a kid who loved pro wrestling, I had a lot of the games. Owen Hart was one of the people that I liked playing as. It made me sad. We didn't buy pay-per-views back in the day. So it was a couple days before I found out. And actually, to be honest, at that time I really didn't religiously watch Monday Night Raw because it was pretty heavy into the Attitude Era, which was a lot of trash TV. But when Owen Hart died, that was crazy, because I loved Bret. I had a Bret Hart action figure, always wanted an Owen one, and it was just like, again, death, heavy, and especially the way that it happened too. It's so hard. Like there's been a clip lately showing like the Undertaker and Stone Cold. The pay-per-view still went on after he fell, and like Undertaker's fighting back tears to trying to get this like main event going and underway, and still perform the way that he's expected to be in character and all that stuff. But it was pretty shocking. And it broke my heart as a kid to know that, these larger-than-life wrestlers were quite human. They were quite human. All right, that's my number 7. My number 6, I remember this in small doses, but Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky. I don't have to go into too much detail. I think everybody kind of knows about it at this point. But, I had even though I love presidential history, you think about it growing up and again, naive. And these presidents are supposed to be ultimate representatives of us, of ourselves, and all is pure and good. And I remember just feeling like, because Bill Clinton was the dude back in the day. I thought he was a pretty great president, especially for the time period. Obviously, history changes perceptions and stuff, but the country was pretty good. People think very fondly about the 90s because of Clinton and a lot of other things. But this broke out, and I didn't need to know the details at that time. That was not a requirement of me at 7 years old to hear about this, but it was a pretty big scandal to the point where I was aware. Again, didn't know the details. All I knew is that he had cheated on Hillary, and that was the extent of it. That's all I needed to know back then. But it was everywhere. So that's my number 6. Number 5. I remember this one because of a Beanie Baby, which sounds weird. And I forgot for the longest time that this was a thing. But on June 30th, 1997, Hong Kong was given back to China. And the thought of Hong Kong not being a Chinese place, like it's weird to me, but it's literally the last major area. I mean, I think there's still some other places, but it's the last major territory of the British Empire. And there was an agreement back in 1897 that they would give between England and China, that they would give back Hong Kong in 100 years, and they did it. And but I remember there was a special Beanie Baby release for this, which was pretty fascinating. And a couple years ago, I actually found a YouTube video where I watched the whole ceremony of England giving Hong Kong back to China, like the whole flag exchange ceremony, the governors, that whoever was running British Hong Kong, leaving at the perfect time, weird. It's so weird. But cool, but really cool. But yeah, there was a commemorative Beanie Baby released for that event. So that's my number 5. Don't know why I remember it so much, but I do. Number 4, the death of Princess Diana. And the reason why I said, and this happened on August 31st, 1997. Chris Farley's was December 18th. The reason why I said celebrity death is because I actually really knew who Chris Farley was. I viewed him like that. But Princess Diana, this story went on forever. And it still goes on to this day, all sorts of conspiracy theories and stuff like that. The royal family's a chaotic nightmare, but I remember Princess Diana being very, very prominent on my television in the mid 90s. She was everywhere. She was a legit icon, beloved by everybody. And then still don't even remember the full story, but paparazzi. I remember in first grade there was a girl in my class that mentioned it the first week of school, talking about Princess Diana, because she, obviously adored her. She was appeared to be on the outside looking in, somebody worth acknowledging. And obviously I don't know too much about her personally, but the death of Princess Diana was a pretty big story back in the 90s, and that is my number 4. Number 3, I'm going to go the O.J. Simpson trial. I was not very conscious for the original Ford Bronco chase. I was not. But 4-year-old me still remembers the trial and verdict of O.J. Simpson. And this is not BS. I remember this very visibly. I remember the TV being on all the time and my parents watching this. I think we were in between at 4. I think we were somewhere in between the mobile home and in our current home. We did have an apartment for a little bit. But I remember it. It was everywhere. And now I get to look back and laugh at it through Norm Macdonald SNL videos of him just destroying O.J. Simpson. And there was a lot of stories. Again, after that, it was crazy how powerful the media was. This O.J. Simpson trial and verdict was talked about by everyone. People were watching it everywhere. Insane. So that's my number 3. Sorry. Number 2 is the Y2K hype. Y2K hype. I have a very funny memory from this one, but there was a lot of uneasiness heading into the new millennium. I remember just, again, everybody scared of the computers and missiles, and I was 8 years old at the time, didn't know what was going to happen. And, yeah, it ended up being a big nothing burger, but there was a couple things. So we did the big countdown. We were over my Uncle Rich and Aunt Lisa's house. And I think there's all sorts of concerts, all sorts of stuff, but the countdown's going, and it's me and my brother was like 6 months then, me, my little brother, sister, mom, dad, Uncle Rich, Aunt Lisa, cousin Nico, Teresa, Uncle Angelo, and several others, and we're sitting there watching the TV. It goes 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, what? All of a sudden the power goes out. We're like, oh my God, what the? Freaking out. It was probably about 30 seconds worth of just pure panic. And then the lights came back on. And what actually happened was my Uncle Rich it was his house, standing right by the light switch, which powered the whole living room, and he flicked it right at the perfect time. It was so well timed. I don't even know if he planned it or it was just spur of the moment, but it is one of my favorite memories of him in that night. And it was just big. It was just a big party. And like, I don't know, like New Year's is always like one of those weird holidays where like you're up to say Happy New Year and then you go to sleep. But like this year was different. 2000 was different. And yeah, it's fond memory, but just the news stories surrounding it were wonderful. It made it maybe a lot bigger of a deal than it should have been. So that's my number 2, Y2K. And my number 1, actually, this is the reason why I picked this episode. Part of the reason why I picked this episode today is because this upcoming Thursday is the 24th anniversary of September 11th, 2001. The World Trade Center attacks. I was too young to recall the original World Trade Center bombings. I think that was in 93. But I remember. And sitting 5th grade, sitting in Mr. Carlo's class, and one of the helpers, he was like a staff assistant. Can't remember his job, but he came upstairs and he told Mr. Carlo about it, and he had the task to explain it, to have to explain it to us. And I'm getting the chills thinking about it. I don't know if you could tell, getting a little emotional, but he had to explain it to us, and he turned the TV on, and all of a sudden, everything stopped. No more math. We were done. We were done for the day. No more learning. We're watching this. We're focusing in on this TV news story. And then all of a sudden, kids are getting yanked out of school left and right. I remember my mom picked me up, and we just sat there. And this is the first time I remember being hooked onto the news. Like, yeah, some of these were headlines, but this is the first time where, like, the craving for news and updates was insatiable. And it started a very, very long run of daily watchings of the news. Let's just say that. It started from that. The president's Bush's address later in the evening. Like, all eyes were on that, focused in on that. And then it eventually led to the war in Iraq and so much more, all these terror level alerts, and just, it was just insane. And it's like a turning point for me in my life. And again, I don't know if it's just me, but everything has felt different after that. Like, the way that the news has been distributed has felt different since that. And then just the world in general has felt like chaotic and scary. And I don't know if that was like a gateway into that perception. Excuse me. I don't know if that was a gateway into that, like, perception. We're for me, 1991 to September 10th, 2001 was all rainbows and sunshines, right? It's mostly pretty good. Yeah, there's a couple scary things going on, but then this happened, and I felt vulnerable. And I remember walking a couple days later, or maybe it was a day later. Me and my parents and we just did a family walk and just enjoying each other's company. And we seen the smoke coming over. It had come all the way from New York City, all the way to Western New York, and it's crazy. Every single year, I still watch back and listen to all the news reports, especially the Howard Stern one is particularly interesting. How serious it got, and I tend to watch a lot of it because I want to put myself in that place of remembrance. Like, I don't want to forget what happened, because everything that really transpired after that, like I talked about it in the Proud to be an American list, but the way that we all came together is like something that I yearn for as a American citizen, and it's, excuse my language, but it's fucking terrifying that we are so far apart right now. And I didn't want it to get, like, this episode to get, like, all dramatic and stuff, but, like, I remember that. I remember the American flags on the cars. I remember I had a Let's Roll shirt because it was something that one of the guys said when they were going to stop some of the terrorists. Like, I don't know. It's just, life has just been so, like, heavy and different since that day, since that nonstop news cycle, and yeah, knowing that anniversary was coming up, it's something I wanted to discuss with each and every one of you. So there it is, everybody. The childhood news stories list.